Alrighty, traders, welcome. I just had to go ahead and fix my mic quickly, but welcome to the show today. Hopefully everyone is doing well. This is our once a week show that we go ahead and talk about a whole bunch of things. And let me tell you something. There's a bunch of things happening right now. I mean, we got big correction moves in due. They're not happening, but we got big correction moves that are due on a lot of currency pairs. We're going to talk about that today. Also, cryptos, Bitcoin's at 57,000. What is it going to do at 57,000? We'll look at the technicals and we'll talk about that too. I know Chris has got some stocks that he's going to talk about as well. Listen, man, there's just so much to talk about and so little time. So let's go ahead and jump into it straight away. First, before we get started, make sure that you subscribe to this channel, smash the like button so we can get this video out to as many people as possible. So with that being said, let me go ahead and bring up my guest, which is going to be Chris. Chris, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, Gary. Nice to see everybody. Happy Tuesday. We couldn't all three get together today. We've got some schedule conflicts, but nice to be with you and happy to bring Tyson in spirit. And we had a great class today for Equities on Demand, so we have plenty of stocks options to talk about. Some great picks, actually some profits running really, really nicely. Despite kind of the uncertainty in the markets, Gary, we're seeing the stock market a little bit sideways. We've got some crazy moves on the JPY, some crazy moves on the CAD and oil. So I know we're going to dive into all those today.
Oh, man, I am excited, dude. I just can't control myself because there's so much exciting stuff happening right now. And I'm talking about things that are going to happen. Because if you look at the technicals, you look at where the markets are sitting right now, there are great setups that we're going to have to go ahead and talk about today. So let's go ahead and get started. You guys had a great stock session this morning. Go ahead and talk about what you guys got for stocks today.
Yes, so I will just kind of give a rundown from A to Z. We have actually, this is a really big week for me, Gary. I have 9 stocks this week that have expirations on Friday the 15th. And so if you're making a list here, I've got BlackBerry, I have Beachbody, I have CDE. That is, I can't remember the name of that stock. It's a steel stock. CDE is the ticker. I have FHN as First Horizon National. I have Fisker. I have Catapult, which is KPLT. I have MARA, which is something that we've actually traded quite a bit around Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's been doing really well. So MARA, we made a killing on that stock recently. MVST and PaySafe. And we have some kind of longer term plays of stocks we want to own. And it's just been active, man. We probably have like 10 trades we've posted this week. I've got 9 trades with expirations. I'm either lowering my costs or letting my profits run. I've got covered calls running on a couple of things like Arrival and Alcoa. And I covered some calls today on Ford as well, which is rallying higher. So it's a good thing. Even though the markets have been a little bit squirrely, we did do a great job of calling the correction back in September. We made actually quite a bit of money on that. We were short on the SPY. We were short on the Qs. And that worked out really nicely. The one thing that didn't play out for us, Gary, is, and maybe this is me personally, but even though we had a nice little correction on the stock market, I'd say nice little because it was little. We only had about a 6% correction on the SPY and about a 7.5% correction on the NASDAQ. But volatility didn't really change. We're sitting here staring at the volatility index, the fear gauge, and it's not that big off the lows. Like we had a little spike from looks like early September into like mid-September, but it just kind of was overall contained. The one thing that's actually really interesting is the 10-year note, the TNX. We're sitting at 1.58, and Gary, I'll say this on the 10-year note: we see yields rallying, we see bonds selling off, we see some uncertainty in the stock market. If these type of correlations continue to play out, I think this is what kind of brings this 13-year bull market to an end. Now, I'm not saying we go into a bear market, but we can certainly go into a contraction phase. We can go into a sideways market. We can go into even an economic recession. I know that sounds really bad, but if we have 2 contracting quarters of GDP, we could actually be in a technical recession, but we may still have like the most productive recession ever. So it's interesting how things are like lining up and correlating. I know Tyson and I talked a lot about energy stocks and kind of this energy crisis that might be like something coming out of left field because everyone's focused on inflation, everyone's focused on the Fed, everyone's focused on central banks and the dollars and tapering. So I feel like the misdirection could be all the Fed drama, the debt ceiling, and the infrastructure bill. But meanwhile, we have like energy and oil that is really, really going crazy right now. So I think that's what I know that I'm going to focus on, and I know that you probably have some great setups on oil as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But even gold and silver right now is a great buying positions on
Yep.
gold and silver,
Yep.
where it's hitting a very key level. Let's go to the chart. I actually got a chart open right here. We can go ahead and take a look at. This is on silver, and we've been in a range in silver between 22 and 29, and we're hitting support. We're hitting some good divergence, great divergence on this. Definitely looking for some bullish options on on silver. And then gold is pretty much giving us the same look. If I go ahead and take a look over here on the chart on gold, we can see that we have completed this pullback, even a nice bullish crown setup right here. I believe it did take out the high there. So yeah, bullish crown right here. And it's setting up right here at a very, I actually marked this off on my chart, excellent buy option here on gold at what $1,760 right here. And we're looking for gold to go up to about 1,800. And if we manage to break out of that range, we'll be chasing after the highs up here at the top around about just shy of, 1,900. And then a long-term target on this will be all the way up here at about 1981. So gold is definitely in a very good place right now for those guys that want to get into gold and silver. I think it's in a good buying position. So that's in gold and silver, and I think that lines up to what you're talking about on the Qs and stocks and all that other good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That it all tells us that yes, markets are hit. We're now. I think Dyson mentioned that we could be in recession already, depending on the GDPs in the last 2 quarters. But it certainly tells us that something's brewing, because if the gold market is moving up and we've got silver moving up too, right, then it does tell us that something's going on with the economy. And I know that there's been growth. I think the IMF predicted that we are going to be seeing an upside, no, actually 0.1% downtick on GDP growth over the next year. But we definitely are in recovery. The global economy is in recovery over the next, over the last year. So we are in recovery and we are moving forward. But we do see a downtick in the GDP coming, I think, in 2020, July 2020. So that's a prediction on IMF. Quick question here.
Yeah.
Currency pairs.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff going on in the stock market. Are you moving? I know you do a lot of stock trading and so on, and you also trade currencies. Are you leaning more towards currencies now because the stock market has got a bit of uncertainty? Is that where you're leaning at the moment right now?
No, I'm still just as active in both. I mean, with stocks and options, what I've been focused on is the cash that I have are focused on stocks I want to own, adding more to positions, lowering my overall cost basis, looking for, I mean, I know that, the overall stock market can correct, and it might put a little bit of pain on my overall portfolio, but stocks I want to own, stocks that I believe are companies that have, competitive advantages, they have good cash flow, they have great fundamentals, I'll hang on to them. I mean, that's, again, it's to me, it's separate. Like, it's just an asset class that I trade. Options, I can lower my cost basis. Options, I can generate some weekly and monthly income. But when it comes to currency pairs, Gary, holy shnikes, do we have some great setups, man. I mean, I want to talk first about the Eurocad, because it's been a long time since I have seen 15 out of 16 candles in a row be bearish. And I'm talking daily candles, dude. This is crazy. We also have 3 weekly pivots in a row and a monthly pivot all clustered together. And again, like, I know that a lot of this has to do with oil. I know that the CAD has been resilient and stronger and staying that way because of oil. I know that, overall, it's like the Eurozone is still pretty neutral to dovish. And I know the Euro's not getting a lot of love. But, Gary, I can't help but look at the higher time frames in this one and just think, like, okay, so we've got some decent support around 4,300, 4,275. I just keep looking left at all these major lows. We got a low in February 2020. We got a major low, a round number at 4,000, the lows in 2017. As we've had like so many extended moves to the downside and just a crazy amount of pivots and divergence now that I'm seeing it, I mean, I'm starting to look to buy the Eurocad. And I know that I'm probably early. I know that I'm probably getting in too early, and I don't want to get in too big. But I like buying the Eurocad, in all honesty.
Yeah.
So
I agree completely with you, dude. The Eurocad right now is in absolute great position to start looking to buy it. And you're right. It's been a downside move on this thing for a while. We broke out of that big wedge. You can see right here we have this big wedge. We broke out to the downside. This is not the only currency pair that is looking like this, because all the Euro crosses, we spoke about that last week, all the Euro crosses have actually taken either taken out support, broken some trends, but they're all in a place where they're now looking for a bullish correction. And we're going to say bullish correction because, Chris, I don't believe that this is going to be a long-term rally. I think we're going to see a short to mid-term rally, and then we're going to see some further downside move. Now, on the currency pair that you're talking about, the Eurocad, we've broken through this channel. We do have a 127 right here that we're anticipating that to be the fifth wave. We are a little bit shy of that. Now, this is good to be a little bit shy of hitting that target. And the reason why is because we're going to expect a pullback. And the reason why I'm expecting a pullback is just because you just said it. It's been so bearish right now. We're now seeing some, look, we're going to go to the 4 hour. We're seeing some great divergence here on the 4 hour. Look how the oscillator is moving up, price is moving down.
Yep.
Perfect place for you to go ahead and get in. I think you got it spot on there. And so if we're going to be buying long, where can price go to? Well, you take a look at the 1.618 of the previous swing. It's right there at 145.80. So 145.80 is going to be a retest of that. Plus, we've got these lows right here. There's a good spot right here for the bulls to go ahead and score some bonuses here, right there. That's where we're going to go ahead and see price moving back up to before it goes ahead and sells off again. So if you're going to be going long on that, Chris, I would say watch out for this level right here, about 45.80.
Okay.
As price comes up to that, because we're going to find resistance there, and that's going to be possibly a good sell zone right here. So if this is a sell zone, then you know that the buyers are in the market looking to get to that level. So, so I think you spot on that. And this is not the only one. If you look at, and you're right, U.S. oil is certainly pushing price in a direction, right? And so as we start looking for U.S. oil sell-off, think about it this way, Chris. U.S. oil, we're expecting a correction move in U.S. oil, but it's not going to be, we're still going to see U.S. oil go further up, much higher, right? We're expecting to go much higher. So which means that Eurocad could also be just a correction move and then a further downside move in Eurocad as the oil price gets stronger and CAD gets stronger as well. So if we look over here on, let's say, the New Zealand Cad, same scenario here. I mean, let's go to the chart right here. Same scenario. We've broken through structure, broken through. Look at this downside action here. We're at a support level. We're actually at the 127. We're looking for Eurocad also to go bullish. Look at the big bullish divergence we've had here. So we're looking for price to go back up to the backside of this trend line, even possibly up here towards these highs. So New Zealand Cad's also telling us rally. And listen, you can go to every chart that's traded against the Canadian dollar. And you look at Aussie CAD, New Zealand CAD, Eurocad, Pound CAD, all of them are saying that we're oversold and we're looking for a rally in the market. And so that's why I'm so excited. I'm excited about the position that we're in now, that we have an opportunity to be able to trade this correction. Now, some of you might be saying, and Chris, you might be saying it too, like, hey, what is your options about buying against the trend? I know you and I have got no problem doing that with a cost averaging strategy and a well thought out plan. But the thing here is buying against the trend is not a bad thing, provided that you're not married to that trade and that you have levels that you know where the market could go to or turn it. But you have these potential tops or these targets that you're looking at on the upside, and you're getting out of those targets and you're not holding on for more than just what the markets can offer you. And so it's important, I think, that they look at these technicals, right? I mean, it's important that they look at the technicals and make sure they get out and take profit. Profit taking is important, right, Chris?
It's super important. And, you know, what I might end up doing, Gary, is personally for me, like Eurocad, New Zealand CAD, I'm in each of those trades. I'm already in 4 entries, 4 small entries, but I spaced them out with Perfect Storm Pro and Eurocad. I actually just had a fill today. My bottom entry is 43.53. So that's just off of today's lows. And again, I'm not saying that's the low, but what I might end up doing, Gary, is I might take that 43.53, take profit around that 45.50 to 45.80 level. And if it continues to the upside, I'll manage the other positions. If it comes back to the downside, I might have to reassess. But you know, this is the beautiful thing about, you know, having a robot help me out get some entries. Also, the beautiful thing about managing some trades individually instead of having them all be lumped together. I've got to close out, you know, losing trade first. I can manage them non-FIFO, which is fine. New Zealand CAD, same thing. I'm in 3 trades, actually 4 trades in that one, and same thing. I'll just probably manage partial profits, let it run, and just most important thing is for profit, for break even, know where those levels are at, and just make sure that if you're planning on holding, that you think it's realistic with multiple reasons to hang on to it. For me to hang on to like Eurocad, it's oversold. We have divergence. We have a crazy bar count. We've got pivots galore. We got pockets galore. Those levels tend to get hit. So it's not just like, oh, he just doesn't want to close out of a losing position. I mean, if I looked at it right now objectively, I would be interested in buying Eurocad. The reality is I'm in a little bit early, but I'm still looking at the same thing. Like, I would be interested in buying it. I would say I just wait for a trend line break. I look for more confirmation. I look for bullish price action, and I would still get in. So it's just, what we tend to do sometimes is we trade small, we get in early, and then we build these little positions. And I've done that for years, and it's played out very well. So
yeah,
not going to change.
But
my
like
plan.
you said, you're jumping in with something right now that you're seeing that there's definitely support there that you can buy off. But then when you get the additional confirmation, like the trend line break and all the other good stuff that adds to that confirmation that you need, that's when you start loading the bus and start adding to that position, right?
Yep.
And I don't know if you looked at the CAD Swiss franc. I know we're jumping around between different CAD crosses right here, but CAD Swiss franc, look at this baby right here. Hitting tops on the top right here. We had long-term resistance here, hitting over here at about 74, 78. A lot of resistance here. And the markets have hit it. Now, you might say, and many others might say, well, it could blow through that level and we could continue to move north. Yeah, that's true. But the great thing about the markets is they do move in waves. And so we can see, if you take this down to a lower time frame, and I'm going to go to the 4 hour, maybe I can see it on the 4 hour. Yeah, I can. All right, so if you take it down to the lower time frame right here, you can see that we had a wave from the bottom right here all the way up here to the top. Oops. I actually need to get this mouse fixed up. There it is. Okay, so it goes all the way up here to the top. And from this level, we've gone ahead and looking for the 1.6. I don't think we hit it yet. No, we did not. Okay, so we didn't hit the 1.6 right there. And so as we go ahead and look at the structure, and this is important right here. Look at the structure. So as we go ahead and create this wave, market comes down. Then it goes up to a higher 127 right here. Then it drops back below here, and I like this. This is what I like to call the irregular flat pattern. So it comes back down, takes out the low. This is a great buying position right here. Market rallies up. Now it goes way past the 1.618. So which means that we're due for a correction move. And so with this resistance here, we're going to see price moving back down. Probably going to go and test that 7403 level, and then hover here, and then want to go back up north. I welcome a little further downside move on this, but I'll take 74.10 right here, and I'll get the heck out of Dodge in this trade because I am currently in on CAD Swiss bearish for that sell-off. So this is where we're sitting on CAD Swiss, and I think it's in a good spot here to start see some downside action as well.
We bring up the CAD yen, Gary. I mean, honestly, look, we're clearly spending a lot of time on Forex in the the CAD crosses, but the basket looks so good for a correction. And honestly, when you think about the CAD basket, and I thought we started talking about this last week. We talked about the CAD basket last week as a potential setup. I mean, when the whole basket looks good, it tends to play out. It tends to actually abide by the technicals and be obedient. And we'll probably see, let's just say on average, you've got 100 pips per currency pair, and you have the CAD basket offer up 700 pips in the next couple of weeks. Like, it's not, and honestly, of some of the corrections, like some of these can correct well over 100 pips. So I just think it's something that when you have really nice alignments like this, it's something that we have to pay attention to. And I'm looking at CAD yen, same thing. Like, I don't want to fight yen crosses, but when we're at this level of resistance, if we have some decent indecision, I'm probably looking for some. I don't think I'm going to like fade it, Gary, necessarily. I kind of hate doing that in the yen crosses, but I would consider looking at some sell stops below some support. If we like a reasonable support level, like just go after, maybe a 50 to 100 pip scalp, and maybe look at a position like this. But they just look really good. CAD Swiss, you just did. CAD yen, you're showing now. It's like, it just looks really solid. So I think the whole basket lines up really cleanly.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It certainly does. And this is the beauty of trading the markets right now, is that we don't have to trade in long-term positions, specifically like the CAD JPY. If you look at it, we're in a third wave move, and so the fourth wave tends to be a very shallow pullback. So traders need to be a little bit cautious with that and not look for these huge profit potentials, but really go down to the lower time frame. Something like you mentioned, looking for those support levels, strong support levels on the daily that market can break below, and then trade short-term swings going south. And don't be committed, don't be married to that trade, because it is going to be a short correction. Right. So CAD's JPY will be a short correction, and then it'll take off again. And you don't want to be caught on that trade, especially on the wrong side, because when it goes up, it's going to go up much higher, and you may not have the equity to ride that wave out. And so buying on the shorts, in the sense in the short term, is going to be a good option on the CAD JPY. In fact, let's go to a chart right here. Oh, you know what? I want to bring up, and I'm going to bring up this chart right here. Take a look here. This is the daily and the monthly pivots right here. Take a look at this. We got a unhit target this week on the CAD JPY, and then we got a monthly and we got a weekly right here missed target. This is actually an active target, so this is an unhit target. But you got missed targets on the weekly. We got some unhit targets on the monthly and the weekly here. So there's a lot of pull to bring this market back down again. I think we got another one right here. No, that's the one. So there's definitely a lot of downside pull. And look at the divergence here on the 1 hour too. I'm seeing the divergence on the 1 hour. I saw that on the 4 hour right here as well. Divergence there. So there's definitely downside potential on CAD JPY with a lot of confirmations of the market. And that's why I said, that's why I'm so excited about the way the markets are sitting right now, is because there's so many options. Like, where do I start? There's so many options. So for those viewers that are watching, and Chris can add to this as well, the best thing you could do when it comes to looking at the charts, and you see so many options over there, and I know that not everyone's got a trading account that can accommodate so many positions, so you want to focus on one or two, and sometimes it's better to be a master of one than a jack of all, right? And so focus on one or two of those setups, and go ahead and just build your position up. Chris loves to do that. I love to do that too, where you build your position up. You start off with some, you build it up. By the time the market actually takes off, you've got a whole bunch of positions in that you're chasing after certain targets, and that's really what you need to do, so that you don't over leverage your trading account. That's important. What does Freddie got to say about the markets? I see him sitting on your lap there.
Benji. Don't offend him. No, actually, he is loving the Aussie New Zealand, because that's been his jam for the last couple of months. And what surprised me, Gary, is how do we not have a pullback on that currency pair? I'm long on Aussie New Zealand. I'm in profit. I'm riding this profit to 107 or hopefully higher. But I have been looking at buy limit levels, pending buys, any pullback. Give me something that I've just like waited, haven't gotten the pullbacks I've wanted. And now I've just watched it go from the lows recently of 102.90 all the way up to 106 and change. We're up 300 pips on the Aussie New Zealand. I'm still going after destination like 106.50 to 10700, and realistically, I don't know if you have anything different on that, but I think there is such strong support off that 10300 level that I wouldn't be surprised, Gary, if we come all the way back to like 108.50, 10900 again. We just have like all these fantastic levels of, I'm looking at a weekly chart right now in Aussie New Zealand, going back to 2015, 2016, 2018, 2019, 2020, lots of support at 103. And we've had kind of those like, flashy crashes at the parity level since 2014. But 103 support is pretty solid. I think this currency pair finds just a fair market level between like 107 and 109. And now that it's bullish, I don't want to fight the momentum. And I think there's more to hang on to. So for me, I'm going to try to stay bullish, especially if we break that channel you show on your screen. If we break that blue channel, I think there's movement back up to that red trend line around 108.50 to 10900. So I'm going to try to hang on to it a little bit longer.
Yeah, if I go down to the 4 hour time frame over here and take a look at the 4 hour setup, then we can see that we actually do have a downward channel right here. So there is a lot of resistance here. You did right. I was actually long on the Aussie New Zealand dollar as well on this, and I took a little bit of profit a little bit earlier right here. I was buying down here, and I took this whole rally up here. Took out my trade right here. I'm actually on the sideline on Aussie New Zealand at the moment right now. But if I look over here, there is a lot of resistance coming off this level of that previous low. So there's resistance of the low, there's the resistance of this downward trend line. And also if I take a look at the inside swings right here, there was a first wave structure right here. This is the first wave. and then price pretty much took off from there, and it never came back. And so we have this big large swing that's creating this wave inside here, wave 1. This is wave 3 right here, and we've come almost, I think almost, or at, no, right at, look at that, the 1.618 right here. So which tells me that we're not done with this rally. But the thing here is we are due for a correction. So
Right.
I think with all the resistance that we have here on the Aussie New Zealand dollar, price is going to pull back, and we're going to get the market to come back to maybe retest these highs right here at the 382 bounce at about 1.0540. And then I think we're going to go ahead and start seeing some further upside rally on this. So I'm going to say that there's going to be a temporary downside move. Look at the divergence here on the 4 hour. Again, definitely overdue. Bearish sell-off is overdue on the Aussie New Zealand dollar, and we may see this. Now, that means that, are we going to see some strength in the New Zealand? Are we going to see some strength in the Aussie? If you look at the calendar this week, then we'll see that we don't have any data coming out that's New Zealand or Aussie related this week. But do we have that next week? Let's see here.
I thought
Next
we had
week?
Aussie employment this week, Gary. I thought we had Aussie employment
yes,
this week.
sorry, you're right.
Yeah, that was about the only thing I could really see that would stand out for a short-term news event. We
Yep.
have Aussie employment on Wednesday night, so that's going to be Thursday's trading day, and that's it.
8:30.
We have G20 meetings this week. We've got FOMC this week. But yeah, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday night, so that's Thursday's trading day. But unemployment numbers look pretty bad, actually. I mean, they're forecasting a negative 108,000, but maybe it's maybe not as bad as good. Like if it's forecasted of negative 108 and it comes in, maybe negative 100, maybe they're like, well, that's not as bad as we thought. So who knows? I mean, the Aussie forecasting is just as loony as the CAD. So I don't really take that into consideration outside of it's the Asia session. It's lower volume, so you tend to see some pretty big volatility spikes around that period. But I'll be watching. I mean, if it pushes higher, great. Let's get some Aussie strength. I'll take it.
Well, let's just, before we move on to cryptos, let's take a last look at the US oil chart right here. This is what the US oil chart looks like here on the 4 hour, but I'm going to go to the daily. Actually, I'm going to go to the weekly right here. And this is that big wedge that we're in, that big falling wedge right here, and we did break out to the upside. And so we started working our swings going up from the bottom right here. And we can see that we had our first wave structure right here, hit the 1.618. We had a pullback. And now we're at that 127. And so right there at this level right here, despite of what we're seeing at the moment right now, we're anticipating and absolutely anticipating price action to move south. So we're looking for price to drop back down to at least 74 and 74, and then dropping even further down south, because we're expecting price to come retest this trend line break that it did here, which is about 57. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can get there, but I think in the short term, at least in the short term, bearish movement on US oil could help with those Canadian crosses that we're looking at to trade. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Gary, keep running, keep talking. Let's go into crypto. I'm going to grab the door. Somebody's here. 1 second.
All right, not a problem.
All right.
Not a problem. I got it. All right, so quick one as we dig into the details here. Let's see here. Okay, so as we dig into the details and we're looking at the setup on Bitcoin, I don't know if you recall, quite a while back, maybe a few weeks ago, we've been talking about, in fact, actually, I think about a month ago, I think it was 22nd of September, so a little bit less than a month, 3 weeks ago, we spoke about Bitcoin trading around about 40,000.
All right.
And so when Bitcoin is trading at around about 40,000, I actually posted a lot of stuff on that, and we discussed this in the session as well. And I said that Bitcoin's not going to break through 40,000. It might test a little bit below it, but it's going to come back up. It's going to stay above 42,000. And I said the next target to the upside is going to be 57,000. And as we look at 57,000, we're going to go ahead and take a look over here at the chart and see what 57,000 means for traders. Now, Chris, 57,000 is a very important. 57,000 is a very important level on Bitcoin.
Yes.
And I'm going to go to the chart right here. I want to pull it up just so that we can see what's going on here. So here we go. So
It's
if
like
I look at the
clockwork.
chart right here, here's Bitcoin, and this is the rally we have. I'm going to compress the charts a little bit right here so you can see. Here we had a wave 1, 2, 3, 4. And if people tell me that wave structure doesn't work in the cryptos, I'm going to go ahead and get real mad, because it does. And here you can see third wave. This is why we said that Bitcoin's not going to break below 40,000, is because this was the fourth wave correction. Fourth wave correction came back to retest wave 1, which is at 42,000. And so everyone's like, and you know what's really funny is when you watch these guys on YouTube and that, and all the crypto specialists and gurus and all that, and they're like, oh man, it's going to break below 42,000, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. They don't really have a clue what the markets are doing technically. Right. I'm just talking about all this hype. And now they're talking about, oh, good, Bitcoin's going to go to 70,000, Bitcoin's going to go to 100,000. But the question here is, how does it get through these levels? Because these levels are buyers and sellers at these levels. Big whales are looking at these levels and they focus on these levels. And so if you go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin right here, Bitcoin is at 57,000 right here, which is a fifth wave completion. We've just had a sell-off right now. You see it's down to now 55,000, but it's off 55 or 57,000 right here. And so the question here is, what's it going to do? Well, my thing here is, if we have a short-term dip and then it rallies, it has to get to 62,000 before we can even see 75,000 come into play. Which means that if it hits 62,000, it's going to retrace, and then it's going to rally again. But if it doesn't, and we trade back below this level right here at 53,000, now I love calling numbers out, but 53,000, if we trade below 53,000 and stays below 53,000, that means price could go all the way back down to 42,000 again. And so that could be the big dump there. Now, I'm expecting, or not expecting, I'm hoping, Chris, and I think maybe you're on the same, but I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping that we don't see that, and we see price go up all the way up to 70 or 62,000 first, and then on its way to 75,000. I hope that's going to happen. But I'm going to say this too. If it does go back to 42,000, all it's going to do is create new opportunities, because off 42,000, that means the correction move is done, and we're now going to go back up again, and so 75,000 does come into play after we hit 42,000. But we have to know these wave structures, right, Chris? Because without knowing what the technicals are doing, it's really difficult to define how the markets are going to move. And when's a good time to start buying in, especially if you're using a cost averaging approach on that. And so I like Bitcoin. Have you got anything to say about Bitcoin at the moment right now? I love the way it's set up right now.
Yeah, I think I mean it's spot on that you mentioned 57, and we're seeing that reaction exactly where we talked about it last week at 57,000, 57,500. We also, traders that are out there that like pivots, that like structure, that like those kind of easy visual technicals. We have 1-2 weeks in a row available missed pivots from the weekly chart, and we have a monthly that had a nice solid breakout on the trend line around 45,000. Based on wave counts, based on structure, based on pivots. Gary, I'd love to get a chance to re-enter Bitcoin at 45,000 or lower. Between like 45,000 and 40,000, I would certainly look at levels there to start adding more to my current Bitcoin holdings. And then if it somehow flushed any lower, I'm just going to keep accumulating. So I think that this is really, I mean, cryptos might be offering traders, not just anybody. Like I'm talking people that actually follow the technicals, pay attention to the technicals. They're offering traders a chance to accumulate, right? Like if we came back to 40,000, you added some, we came back down to 30,000, you added some, and then the next thing we're back up to 60,000. Well, 60,000 either a make or break, right? If we get above 60,000, that could be resistance that blows through, and the next stop is like 150 to 200K. I don't know. But if we have a chance to keep accumulating, it's like just like the high in 2017-18, it took 2 years to accumulate back down at that $3,500 level to like $8,000 level, and it moved quite a bit. We had a lot of oscillations there for over 2 years. So we're maybe just spending the next 6 to 12 months accumulating. And, we can, I know that you in particular and Cameron like to trade a little bit more actively and turn some of those trades and transact in case, maybe you're not holding Bitcoin since 2016 or 2019, 2020. But I like the setup. What was interesting to me this last week, Gary, was looking at, Bitcoin broke that recent high from September, but Ethereum didn't. Litecoin didn't. I mean, honestly, this is what's crazy is
Yeah,
Bitcoin was the big mover and Shiba frickin' Inu was the big mover. Like those are the
yeah.
two that like, oh yeah, those are the big bullish moves for the month of end of September and into October. But everything else is pretty quiet. Still a lot of chart alarms that haven't been activated on my end.
Yep, yep. That's definitely a big mover right there. But if you go ahead and take a look at the actual list over here, actually Shiba's actually moved into, and I invested quite a bit of money into Shiba when it dropped back down and I bought back in. I made 100% within 24 hours. It was insane. It's like, what? What is this? But you know what? This is a coin. There's a lot of these coins that I'm in that I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna hold, and if this thing goes to higher levels, great. If it's a bust, it's a bust. But it's not those type of coins that can make you a lot of money if it continues this rally. And I don't think that Bitcoin and Ethereum and all these altcoins, and I don't think the crypto market is done yet. I think we're still in for a big move. And that's why I said I'm hoping I'm wrong, that we don't get back down again and we do see this bust out, because we do need another breakout. And normally at the end of the year, we tend to see these big moves in the crypto market, and we may have this. And so maybe we don't get to 42 and we do have this breakout. And I hope I'm wrong and that this does happen and we get this breakout, because when we do break out and we get to 62, then we're off to the races. Then there's these big opportunities still on a lot of these new projects that are coming out that you can get in on, that you can still make good money out of it. It may not be as much as in Bitcoin and Ethereum because they've broken through those levels, but these other projects that come, Bitcoin and Ethereum are creating platforms for these other projects to create opportunity for traders to get in. So if you're not in on Bitcoin or Ethereum and you feel like it's gone too far, you can build up your portfolio on other altcoins and just move that into Bitcoin and Ethereum as you build up that portfolio. And if you look over here, Chris, typically what I do is when I look for a crypto to trade, I look at the top 25 and I look at the worst traded pair of the day. And if you look at the worst traded pair of the day right here, or at least a week, you're probably going to see that with, I believe it was ICP. Yeah, ICP is down 12%. It's actually gone up a little. It was down 13% a little earlier when I did one of my sessions, but it's down 12%. So if you look here, we're down 5% for the day, 12% for the week. This is an opportunity to go ahead and look at trading. Now, if I go to the chart, ICP chart, and I take a look at the chart right here, then you can see that we spoke about ICP earlier on in the week. We said that, or at least last week, we said that we could buy here. We said buy opportunity at 43.90, and we said rally up towards this level, and you can make 25 to 44% gain on your coin. Get out of that trade, which some traders did, and profit. Now we're in a new larger swing. You see, the reason why we did that trade is because of this reason. We had price moving in 5-way structure right here. So when we got to this level, it's time to cash out and now start looking for the retracement. Now we're in that retracement, it's buying opportunity again. So ICP is actually a good spot right here to start looking to buy in again and looking for price to rally up to this level at 68. That's we calculated about a 68% return on that trade. Those are the type of small opportunities that you can create, that can be created for you, specifically if Bitcoin continues this rally, Ethereum continues this rally. It's going to be exciting for those altcoins and especially new traders that come into the market to be able to take advantage of those moves.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. So give me. I mean, I guess give me. ICP. Any other ones that you were really liking for kind of the short-term stuff that I haven't?
Yeah.
I mean, I have like the same 9 or 10 that's on my radar every week. So I'm just curious what else you got up your sleeve.
ICP is in a good position to go ahead and go long. We haven't seen a big move on Chainlink. Chainlink's another one.
Yep.
Also, Polkadot. Polkadot's also something really good to get in. Phantoms have really moved quite a bit, and we got away from a deeper correction to get into Phantom. So Phantom is something to watch, but it's not something that I'd get in right now because it's too high price at the moment right now. Now, keep in mind when I say high price, I'm just talking about a swing structure, right? So if it's high price, that means we've already got close to a third wave move, and now we look for correction to get back in at a cheaper price to make some money off it. Solana's good as well. Solana's good to get in. We haven't seen a big move out of Solana either. We haven't seen a big move out of what was it? I spoke about Link. It was Litecoin. Litecoin either. let's take a look at Litecoin. Let's go take a look at Litecoin. If you look over here, Litecoin, you see Litecoin has gone ahead and had this big little spike over here. We did come back down to a deeper retracement. Now, this is what we look at right here. When I look at Litecoin, you see how we see this big rally, then we see this dip, and then we see this big rally, and then dip again, but it hasn't hit the 1.618 over here at the top. Well, when we don't have the 1.618 hit over here, that means price is still going to go back and test it. And so, which means that this move that we're seeing right here gives us buying opportunity all the way to that level right here. So as soon as we take out the lows here, that's it there. As soon as we take out the lows, this is buying a buy zone right here to go ahead and buy. Now the market is, if you look at the short term right here, look at the short term right here. We had wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a wave structure from the bottom to the top right here. And so we're in a correction move on Litecoin. So as Litecoin corrects itself, and if you're asking me where's a good place to buy, well, just look for the fourth wave. Fourth wave low is here. So if that's the fourth wave, let me use a different tool here. If that's the fourth wave right here, then when the market takes out that fourth wave, gets your 618 pullback, this is the buy zone right here. This is where you want to go ahead and buy, right there. So this is the buy zone right here, buy zone. And so, Chris, just like you like doing, right? Go in and level in on this position. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much what you're going to be doing there. You're going to level in on that position so that you can have additional buying power if price does move down a little bit lower. The lower it gets, the better it is. Buy back in on that. But if we get that to 161 on Litecoin, 161 is a good buy spot, and you're chasing after 216 on Litecoin. So a bit of a correction is due, and then we should see the rally taking place as well. So I'm really, really hoping that my prediction on 57,000 hold is wrong, and that we do push through. We get to 62,000, because 62,000, then it's bulls all the way. Bulls all the way. We'll never see 42,000 again.
Okay, so is that really that's the rule for you, right? Like we get to 62,000, we're not coming any lower than 40, but do you have a projected upside? Is it just kind of buckle up and hold up, or do you have 150, 200 plus, 200 plus K projection?
What we have to do is once we establish a turning point on once we hit 62,000 and price turns to 62,000, we get a correction move. Then we'll be able to predict what our next move is going to be and what our next target is going to be. And in most cases, in this case, because this is a inside extended wave, what we'll chase after is the fib extension to the 1.27. That'll be our final move on that. And then whatever that low is that it turned at will be the next downside move before price goes ahead and moves back up again. So that's what's great about trading wave structure, is that it can not only tell you where the market is going to go to, but it can also tell you where we're going to retrace back to. And then also when the retracement's done, we then extend it again to another target, and we know exactly where price is going to move down again because we have a target that the market turned from. So it's these wave structures that we pay attention to, and we look at these turning points with inside that elite wave structure.
Nice.
Seems complicated, right?
Little by little, man. I mean, it looks
better on a chart. I'll tell you that much.
Makes a lot more sense when you're drawing it out.
So I guess this is what it is, Chris. When we hit 62,000, everyone's going to make sure they come back into the session again as we talk about the next move on Bitcoin, whether it's going to go to to 40,000. No, it won't hit 40,000. But what the retracement is going to be like? Where is a good place to start buying on the retracement? And then again, where is the extension? And the reason why they want to know what Bitcoin's doing, because that's the grandfather of all the other cryptos, right? And that's the leading indicator of what's going to happen on the altcoins. And the altcoins are lagging behind Bitcoin. So that's what's great. That's what's great about Bitcoin. If we still see some good dominance in Bitcoin, then that means that the altcoins are going to give us those correction moves and those rallies. And it's almost like taking candy from a baby, because it's that easy to predict on the altcoins.
Yeah, and I think that one takeaway too with cryptos, and it's been surprisingly great, number one, to participate a little bit here and there over the last 4 or 5 years. A lot more, once you realize, like, hey, I've got some play money here, I've got some risk capital, I've got some. Gary, I was very skeptical going into cryptos at first until you just started to see, like, 20,000 was a forecasted high, 3,500 to 3,000 was a forecasted low, 20,000 and beyond was a forecasted high. We break through. We have these like accordion cycles of like really ridiculous overbought conditions, and then 65 to 85% corrections. Really ridiculous overbought conditions, 65 to 85% corrections. So I think it's created like this interesting breed of traders that are willing to hold and willing to ride some of these roller coasters, but I still think that it's probably one of the greatest like speculation vehicles right now for growth. And I'm not saying that I mean, look, I'm not going to take a portion of the Forex money that I have and the stocks and options money that I have. It's a portion. But I mean, this is why hedge funds are allocating, hey, you've got $10 million. We're going to open up a little crypto fund for you. And it's like big money is allowing their I guess they're wealthy, whalish clients with a little bit more risk tolerance to go into legitimate cryptos and to park a little bit of capital into what the growth could be, just exponentially outperforming the overall stock market, exponentially outperforming anything they could do on a annual basis. When the market's happy making 8% a year, funds are happy making 8% a year, and cryptos could take a little bit of capital and generate 50 to 100+% returns, maybe more. So it's like, it's no wonder that the more, I mean, I know that regulation is kind of a trigger word sometimes, but regulation just means more legitimacy as far as a trading instrument. So right now, I'm pretty darn bullish for the foreseeable future. I would have to be, either up a ton of profit in like, let's say I'm up several $1 million in cryptos. Well, I'm probably going to want to take that several $1 million and nurture that in more traditional vehicles as opposed to pure speculation. Like, take the majority of my funds and trade stocks and options and Forex like I've been trading for years. Take a small portion of the fund and still play the game with house money and still have, I mean, take some of that, take 100K and stay diversified in cryptos, participate, and maybe 100K turns into another, 10 bagger of profits. So there's a lot of opportunity. And, I think that we obviously offer like crypto series and trading rooms around crypto. So we've got plenty of education around it. I just think that it's a way for traders to still participate. And honestly, Gary, I keep saying that it's the millennial lottery. Whether you're a millennial or not, it's like, if you are involved in cryptos, you are probably undertaking some of the greatest speculative gains that the financial markets have ever known. Like, it's happening now. So that's what makes it really exciting. It makes it scary and uncertain, but that's why we have risk. That's why we know what we're willing to allocate, know what we're willing to trade, and it's risk capital. But man, it's like, how great is it to be like, I just made 100% on my investment? Because that doesn't happen very often in stocks and options. It certainly doesn't happen in Forex, So just the sheer growth is astounding, which I love.
Well, I think you hit it on now there, right? It's got to be risk capital, because you can't take this can't be your biggest part of your portfolio, and you're investing in high risk assets like crypto. It's got to be a portion, and I've got probably about 50% of my capital invested into stocks. I got 30% into cryptos, believe it or not, and only 20% of that is in currencies. So I do have a bigger portion in crypto than I have in currencies from my own personal portfolio, and that's because of the type of returns. I've managed to double my portfolio, actually quadruple my, no, I even lie. I've made 10 times since I started cryptos. I built up my portfolio 10 times, and that's actually moderate compared to what the type of returns that you are receiving. And just like you, I was a little bit more skeptical in the beginning, but now that I've started to get a little bit more feel and mojo into what's going on with cryptos, I'm now able to see the opportunities a lot better, and to be able to take those opportunities and start making bigger profits based on decisions that we're making. So cryptos is my portfolio of cryptos. He's building up quicker, a lot quicker than I am with the currencies, and a lot quicker than I am in stocks. But it's, it is a portfolio that we just can't turn a blind eye to, right? We have to look into that, because it's an opportunity. And just like you and me, we're all traders, and we're all looking for opportunity. If there's an opportunity to make money, why not take part of that? As long as you are managing the risk and not putting all your eggs in one basket and thinking that this is going to be your answer to fame. So
Agree.
All right. Well, good. Perfect, man. Well, another great session, Chris. A great session. A lot of conversation about a lot of stuff. We spent a lot of time on cryptos and as well as currencies. But good conversation, Chris.
Yeah, it was as always. Next week we'll do it again. Hopefully, the three of us are back at it. I know Tyson's doing a lot of recording today at the studio, so but the three of us are back in action. Plenty more conversations to go. As always, we appreciate everyone tuning in. And I would say this: anyone that's watching this live, anyone that's watching this after the fact in a recording, look, come to these sessions with questions. If you're trading stocks or options or Forex or cryptos, come to us with questions. We're happy to take a look live in the market. We're happy to take a look at the setups. I just think that you're here to participate. You're here to engage, and we're here to showcase, talk about what we're trading, talk shop, which is what we love to do, and trade. And you're a part of that process. So we appreciate all the feedback, and thanks for being with us today. Thanks, Gary. That was good stuff, man.
Yep, excellent. Well, thank you, Chris. Thank you, guys. We'll see everyone back next week. This is Ethic Big Dog and Chris, my sidekick. No, I'm just kidding. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for joining.